What if I told you you can be making an extra $1,000, $10,000, $50,000 per month in real estate by practicing scripts and role playing? See, most agents are broke because they think the only way to make money in real estate is the core four. Now, what's the core four, you ask? It's helping people buy, sell, invest, or rent in real estate. That's what most agents think about when they think about how to get money, right? How can I get someone that wants to buy or sell, invest, and rent, right? And because that's how they think, they are leaving so much money on the table. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the common role play mistakes, right? And I'm going to give you a strategy you've probably never heard of any at your brokerage training, any at your lunch and learns, any at the conferences you've gone to. I'm going to give you a strategy that you've never heard to start bringing home extra money. I'm talking about the big bucks. So with that being said, let's get into this video. So about 5 years ago, I got licensed as a realtor. I just turned 20. 2 weeks after I turned 20, I got licensed, and then no, I got licensed the day after I turned 20, and then 2 weeks after that, I signed with KW, and then I started attending a bunch of trainings. Now, at this time, again, I'm 20 years old. I have no experience in the business. I started attending this one free class at my brokerage, and one of the more experienced agents in the office happened to be in that class talking about, her morning routine and how she hops on these, set of calls every morning before 9 o'clock to kickstart her day. And since doing so, she's become one of the top producers in the office. So, again, I'm young. I'm brand new. I'm like, all right, I got to do what she's doing. So I started hopping on these calls, and one of these calls was called Scripts Jedi. Shout out to my guy Chris Hurley. I used to be on this call Monday through Friday, 8:25, 8:30ish to 9 a.m. And the whole point of the call was to practice scripts. Now, and that kind of helped me get a little bit more confident with just being on calls, talking to people about what I do. And I remember I wanted to take a step further, so I reached out to another agent from Jersey who was around my age, and I asked him, or he asked me, I forget who asked who, but we asked each other to become, scripts and roleplay partners so that we can, overcome some objections and have someone who, again, was around the same age group, because we were like some of the youngest guys, if not the youngest guys, on a lot of these calls. And we just were able to connect. And so I started scripts and role playing with him, and there, for a lot of reasons, it was good, but a lot of reasons also bad. So it was good because, one, I started to get more reps talking about the things that I want to be known for, right? I started to get more reps talking about the market and overcoming, why right now is a great time to buy, or why right now is a great time to sell, and, how you can buy a home with no money down. And it's like I started getting a lot of reps talking about these things, and it made me a lot more confident, and it made me a lot better communicator. Also, it held me accountable, right? Knowing that I had every week on the calendar, right, some scripts and role play time. And now, I was already dedicating Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 9, and then I forget how often me and this guy would scripts and role play. So I'm contributing, I don't know, I'd say 3, maybe 4 hours a week worth of time just to practicing scripts and role playing. Now, the bad thing about having a scripts and role play partner is I find, like, usually when you have the same scripts partner for a while, you start to become like friends, and then sometimes, like, you tend to let the conversations take too long to get started. So after a while, we would hop in the call. We'd have our dedicated like 30 minutes, and like 10 minutes of the call, which is like, hey, catching up really quickly, and then, telling each other about what we got going on and stuff. So again, that's not horrible, but it ends up eventually, just catching up with a friend, which is fine and all, but not quote unquote productive, I guess you could say. The second thing that's kind of sucked about having a scripts and role play partner is that sometimes your scripts partner would they wouldn't know how to role play the person that you're trying to practice for, right? And so they would give unrealistic objections, or sometimes they would hit an objection way too hard and not give it up, right? And sometimes, like, the whole point of scripts and role play is for us to, get the deed or get the deal or close a client, whatever. But sometimes, again, they don't play the role properly, and then you're overcoming more objections or objections that the person wouldn't say. Now, I know the whole thing about, like, over practicing, like, it's never bad to over practice, but again, if it's not proper practice, it's not really practicing at all. You're just kind of wasting time. So that's kind of the second thing I found from having a scripts partner that isn't all that good. But fast forward again, that was my experience in real estate, to a few years to about I want to say a week ago from the time I'm recording this video live. I just hopped on a scripts and roleplay call too, actually, with my buddy Rob. Now, on the call, I was like, man, I've been out of real estate for so long as an agent, but like, I want to start getting high ticket one-on-one clients. And in order to sell anything high ticket, right? And I'm high ticket, I'm talking about like thousands, like, tens of thousands of dollars. It's very hard to do that off of just a regular website. Like no one, for the most part, unless you're like very credible and people have been like keeping up with your content for some really long amount of time, and you're again very credible, very trustworthy in that space, most people aren't going to randomly pop up on your website, see whatever you're offering, and then throw you 10, 15, 20,000, right? Highly unlikely. So most of the time, you're gonna have to hop on some sort of consult, some sort of sales call, some sort of discovery call, quote unquote, or virtual coffee, or whatever people say nowadays. But after I got off this subscription roleplay call with Rob, I'm like, damn, I need to start role playing a little bit more often. But then that's kind of when I realized, like, I've been role playing all along for the past 4 years since I started Stop and Stare Media. I just never ever thought of it in the way that I'm about to share with you guys now, right? Just because I didn't have a quote unquote scripts and roleplay partner, like an actual human, doesn't mean that I wasn't practicing my scripts. So let's get into what I really wanted to cover today. So I made the realization that content really is just your scripts practice, right? You making videos talking about the things that you want to talk about, talking about the things you want to become the expert in, that pretty much is scripts practicing, right? You're getting to brain depth. You're getting to practice your communication. You're getting practice repetition, talking about the things that you want to talk about. And I want to talk about an objection, right? The reason why people have an objection is because there's a question that wasn't answered prior to close, right? And that question festered. And then once you close, because that question wasn't answered, now you have objections. And now you have to defend and overcome them and, be like a word ninja. And like, I think that's a big problem in the real estate space, is that we never assume our objections up front in advance. And because of that, then we're left at it could be at the person's house, at the listing appointment, at the buyer consultation, and trying to convince these people that they should take action. When in reality, you should have done more preparation to answer their questions before trying to close them, and made sure that all their questions were answered before, again, getting them to sign or getting them to close, whatever. And so how do we start thinking and preparing in advance, or how do we assume in advance what their objections are? This is why it's super important to get clear on your target audience, which is a video for a whole nother day. But let's say you want to work with first-time home buyers, right? If you're super clear on that, then you can start to think, all right, what are all the things that first-time home buyers struggle with? What are all the pain points that they have? What are all the questions that they're looking for answers to? What are all the roadblocks that are getting in their way, right? If you can learn all these, you can find out what all these are. Now, you can do one of two ways: a lazy way, right? The unauthentic way, or the genuine way. So the lazy, unauthentic way is you can either just ask ChatGPT, hey, what are all the things first-time home buyers are struggling with? What are their pain points, their questions, or roadblocks, whatever? And just ask ChatGPT straight up and, just go with whatever it responds. The genuine and authentic way is to start talking to more first-time home buyers, right? Talk to 10 buyers and ask them, like, hey, what are some of the things that you're struggling with? What are some of the reasons why you held out for so long on buying a home? What were some of the roadblocks that were getting in the way in your journey? And start talking to people and start being intentional with the questions you ask and writing those down somewhere, right? Whether it's a Google Sheet, whether it's a notebook, whether you're recording a call, like do something to store that information so that you can start to understand, okay, what are the objections that people are asking, or what are the questions that people are asking, and how can I prepare in advance for that so that when it comes time to close, it's a no-brainer, because any question that might have gotten in the way, would have already been answered. So let's talk about social media, because a lot of people don't think of social media like this, but I realize social media really is just you objection handling live for people to watch. In a way, right? What do I mean by that? Like your content that you're posting on social media is answering questions and solving problems that your ideal client most likely already have. So if someone watches your content, they consume your videos, they're going to get answers to things that they wanted answers to. Eventually, they'll have all the answers that they're looking for, and they'll want to take that next step forward. And when they come to you, it's going to be like stealing candy from a baby almost. Or that might be a bad analogy because you're not really. It's going to be like someone trying to barge down your door, trying to work with you in a way. They're going to come to you ready to sign, ready to list, ready to buy, whatever it is that they're doing, because you already have content out there for them to consume that answers all their questions, that solves all their problems. But because most people don't treat social media as such, they just treat it as something to check off the box, they're not getting any value from, again, content creation at all. Now, again, I talked about how can scripts and role play help make you an extra, 1,000, 10,000, 50,000. I want you to do some math really quickly and ask yourself, what is my average price point? Right? What is the average deal that I'm closing right now? Let's say it's 500,000. Right? Then ask yourself, based on your transaction history, how much am I usually getting paid for a deal that closes at 500,000? Let's just, for ease of numbers, let's just say you're getting 3% of that, right? Not saying that's the standard or whatever, but let's just say for ease of number, you're getting 3%. 3% of 500,000 is $15,000. $15,000. If you get one client from social media, and that makes you $15,000, would that not all be worth it? Right? You could take 5,000 of that, right, and pay for a full-time person to do your, like from the Philippines, to run your social media for you, right? Or you run it, all your editing, all your recording, all your scripts, whatever you need. They can do all that for you for like $500 a month, and you still got a bunch of money left to spare, right? Some of you watching this are luxury agents, right? What if you got a client to sell a $2 million home, right? Let's just keep that 3% number just for ease of numbers. That's $60,000 from there. One client. So a lot of people, they're scripts and role playing in the dark. They're scripts and role playing, and they're not sharing that to the world. That same information, those same scripts that you use and practice in your role play sessions, you're going to be using that in the real world. Why not take it to social media? Now, I'm not saying record your scripts and role play sessions. I'm just saying the things that you're talking about, like one example of a question that most people have, right? Right now where I live, it is a heavy seller's market. Inventory is low, right? And a lot of inventory is not coming onto the market, right? So it's like we have low inventory already. Not much stuff is coming on. And so like sellers really have a strong advantage right now, and a lot of buyers, they're still having to, do bidding wars a little bit. Not as crazy as the pandemic, but they're still having to, outbid other people. We still got a lot of people that are struggling because prices are rising so quickly in my area to find homes. So everyone just kind of getting pushed further away. And so right now, a great question that a buyer may have is like, hey, I just want to wait until like things calm down a little bit and prices start to go down. Right? Everyone always thinks this price is going to come down for whatever reason. And most of the time, they do, but they never drop below further than where they were at, right? So let's say the house goes from 600,000 to 700,000. It may drop, but like it's most likely going to drop around like 650, not 550, right? Because prices of real estate, for the most part, just always goes up. There's never been a 20-year period in real estate where prices dropped, if I'm not mistaken. Fact check me on that. But again, so the things that you're talking about in your scripts and roleplay session, you could make a whole video on that. Like why right now is a great time to buy, or why prices aren't going to drop the way you think they are, right? Or here's why you should wait to buy a home. It's because prices are going to drop, but not like how you think, right? You could spin off so many different ideas and talk about these things and just put a camera in front of yourself. But no one's thinking about that. Again, if these objections are the same objections that you're going to be facing at the listing appointment, at the buyer consultation, at the investor, assessment, whatever you want to call it, right? Why don't you make videos talking about these things at length so that you could send it to people in advance, or they could find it on their own in advance, watch it, and then when they come to you, there's no more objections to handle because all their questions are answered. Remember, objections are just questions that weren't answered prior to close. So if you can do all the heavy lifting up front, that's going to help you so much. And guess what? You talking to a camera by yourself in a room where no one's watching you is awkward as hell. Like, it's weird. It takes a while to get used to. And so if you can start recording more videos, again, talking about these things, you're going to become a way better communicator. You're going to become a more effective communicator. You're going to become a more concise communicator, a more impactful. You'll be able to talk at length a lot easier. A lot of people struggle to get in front of a camera and talk. They struggle figuring out, what do I talk about? Just talk about the things that you would talk about if there's a real person here. Right? Again, this is why it's so important to understand your audience. If you don't know your audience, this is going to be really tough because you're just going to be playing a guessing game. But once you understand your audience and what they're dealing with, right, every video that you're recording is just you getting more and more repetitions talking about the stuff that you want to help your clients with anyways. Now, there's a Warren Buffett quote. He says that I think the easiest or best way to increase your company or grow your company by 50% or more is to become a better communicator. Even Warren Buffett knows that communication is one of the most valuable skill sets that you can have in the entire world. Right? Communication is how movements are started. This is how history is changed. Right? Becoming an effective communicator. So another reason why you should start recording videos talking about the scripts and the objections that you're handling in your scripts and roleplay session is that if there's one person that has the objection, there's more than likely hundreds, if not thousands, of other people in your market who also have the same objections. So if you make a video, it's not just going to be helpful for the one person you're practicing for. It's going to be helpful for everybody in the market who has that same objection. And so now you're going to be able to help a wider range of people. You'll be able to cast a broader net and potentially get more clients from that. Because, again, you're answering not just this one person's objection, but everyone's objection. Like, everyone who's buying a home, most likely, especially if it's their first home, more than likely they're thinking, how much money do I need for a down payment? It's more than likely almost every single first-time home buyer has that question, no matter which market you're in. So if you can start thinking of, like, what are the common objections that this group faces, I make one video targeting that and deep diving that, I'm going to be able to help a bunch of people, even people that aren't in my market. And the cool thing about real estate, you don't need to be licensed in 50 states. As long as you're licensed in your state, you can send a referral wherever. And if you're sending a referral, let's say average referral fee is 25%. 25% on 15,000 is roughly 3,500, roughly maybe 3,750, just to pass someone an alley-oop. You're not even doing any work. You're just passing off. So let's say you make a video on how much you need for a down payment and you're a Connecticut-based agent, but then someone in Georgia that wants to buy a home watches it and they reach out to you, right? I got peoples in Georgia for that, all over the state. I make one phone call. My license is on referral status currently. I make one phone call. I'm going to say, hey, so-and-so, I got this one person that came to me off of YouTube. They want to buy a house. Boom. And now I'm getting paid to send out alley-oops. Now, another reason why it's so important to record video is because you start to become the go-to expert. If you can answer all these questions and pain point on video that people are having and are thinking and are talking about, and you can answer all of them before they ever meet you, they're like, wow, this person gets me, right? The go-to expert isn't the person who knows the most information about the market. They probably do know a lot about the market, but it's the person who also has a deep understanding of their audience, right? My definition of a go-to expert, and I might just make a whole video on this, but it is an individual that's recognized as a trusted authority in their field, has a deep understanding of their audience, and is highly sought after for guidance within that field. Right? So the second part of it has a deep understanding of your audience. You know your audience, and you're making videos about things that they've been thinking that maybe not share with anybody, and you're answering the problems and the pain points that they had for, months, years, maybe sometimes decades for some people that have been really dragging their feet. And you can overcome all that stuff prior to your first ever live in-person or live virtual connection. They're not going to think of any other person to work with other than you. Like, you're going to be the only person that they can think of. Another reason why you should start recording your scripts and roleplay stuff is you can get paid by the platforms. When you have a regular scripts and roleplay partner and you just meet on a little Zoom call, or you maybe hop on a phone call or a Google Meet, whatever, you're doing that for free, right? Why don't you do a live scripts and roleplay session and record it and upload it? It's going to start off a little slow, but eventually you'll start to get some traction. And if you're talking about things that people are struggling with, that'll start to pick up steam. And once you get really good, eventually the platforms will start paying you to create more content. It's going to take a while, but let's say you grow your channel to a point where you're making $500 a month just from the platform, right? Again, that $500 a month, that'll pay for someone to edit all your videos, upload all your content, right? Write all your captions, post your content, reply to DMs, whatever you want. Like that $500 a month doesn't sound like a lot of money, but to someone overseas, that is game-changing money, and they'll gladly do all the work for you. $500 a month. And then again, on top of that, if you get a client, now you're getting the 500 plus whatever your average price point is, right? 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, depending on whether you're super luxury or not, right? So you're getting paid twice, right? You're not just getting paid to close deals. You're also getting paid to create the content. Another reason why you should start recording your scripts and roleplay session for people to see. You become more confident. The more you talk about the thing that you want to talk about, the better your communicator you become, the more confidence you'll gain. After looking at yourself for so long and watching yourself and hearing yourself for so long, you're going to get over the fact that I don't like my voice. After doing 300, 400, 500 videos, I could care less about what I sound like, right? I'm not worried about it. I know what I'm providing is good. I got over that hump. At first, yeah, it was weird. It was cringy. I had to listen back to myself. And it's like, even now, like sometimes, like my girl will play, like she'll be on TikTok or IG and like a reel of mine will pop up. And I'm like, damn, that's how I sound? Sounds so weird. But who cares, right? Who cares? We're providing value. We're doing a good service for the world. We're providing valuable information that we know people need that solves their problems. We're going to become so much more confident. And on top of that, once you start getting people who see your videos and they start giving you, positive affirmations, positive feedback, like, oh my goodness, John, like, I never thought of that. That was like, really solid information. Thank you so much. It really helped me out. All those start to add up, right? That's going to be reassurance that the stuff you're talking about is actually valuable. When you're trying to create content in a vacuum, or you're trying to script and role play in a vacuum, you don't actually know whether your stuff is valuable or not, because the person on the other end is probably just another real estate agent. And of course they're going to say, yeah, it's cool. But if you can start talking about that stuff online, people who you've never met before will start, giving you your flowers that you deserve, and then eventually working with you. So there's just going to be more reassurance, like, hey, I know what I'm doing. And especially this will help out in the months that, sometimes real estate can be very cyclical. Sometimes it can be slow. You have some slow seasons. Sometimes life's kind of getting in the way and you're not producing as much as you like maybe. And in those times, when you have a stack of people that have reached out to you and say, like, John, like, you've helped me out. John, you've changed my business. John, I thought I was like not tech savvy, but now like it just makes sense. Like, you have an undeniable stack of proof that, hey, what you're contributing to the world is actually valuable. That's just going to raise your confidence through the roof, which is then going to help you show up differently in the marketplace. You're going to show up from a different energy level, your posture is going to be better. How people perceive you is going to be better. And that's just being more confident is going to help you out in so many different aspects of your life too. I already kind of hit this already. If you start recording your scripts and role play session, again, you're most likely eventually going to start getting clients. It's just how long are you willing to commit? Right, it's not about the system working. It's out how long will you commit to work in the system. So I'm gonna just hit that really quickly, and then the last reason why you should start talking about and recording your scripts and role play session is that you don't know what opportunities lies ahead of you. What do I mean by that? I remember back in 2022, I published a quick little 30-second, 60-second reel, and the tagline was "How to Invest in Real Estate Like Grant Cardone." Now, it was a little bit of a clickbaity title, but guess what? I had someone, so under 10X, which is like the umbrella company or whatever. I don't know what the umbrella company is, but 10X is his brand or whatever. There's I guess a subsidiary or a sister company or whatever that is called 10X Stages, right? I posted a random reel on YouTube. Someone reached out to me via email. They found my email and said, "Hey, I work with 10X Stages. While we can't get you in contact with Grant Cardone, we do work with a ton of high-profile speakers who are looking to get on more in-person and virtual stages. Do you have any opportunities for them coming up?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. I have a podcast where I talk about, it's called Walk to Wealth. I talk about entrepreneurship and yada, yada, yada." They're like, "Okay, that sounds like it would be a great fit for some of the people. What kind of guests are you looking for?" And I kind of gave them the rundown. And I got to connect with some really cool people on my podcast because someone in that agency seen a video. But guess what? It gets even better. A few months after that, right, there was the 10X Growth Con that Grant Cardone used to do every year. They were doing a competition that's called the Great American Speak Off, and thousands and thousands of speakers audition to see who's the best speaker. And the top 4 finalists get to speak at GrowthCon in front of thousands and thousands of people, and they needed virtual judges. So because I built a relationship with that company, got to be one of the virtual judges. And then after that, they gave me a list of all the other virtual judges. So I reached out to some of the people on that list. I ended up giving a guy on my podcast who has like hundreds and thousands of followers across all his social media platforms, owns multiple businesses, serial entrepreneur, author, best-selling author, you name it. I don't know that guy from a can of paint. Neither does he know me. But because I got in that room, I got that opportunity. Boom, I was able to connect with him. But guess what? It gets even better. Later on that year, towards the end of the year, I ended up auditioning for the next Great American Speak Off, the competition that I was just a judge for. And out of the 6,000 people that auditioned, I made it to the top 150. I got sent out to Florida to go speak with, 150 of the top speakers in the country. And so, you never know what opportunities you'll get just by posting content. And when people see you speaking like an authority, they're going to start inviting you to opportunities that you wouldn't even be aware of had you just continued being a regular schmegular real estate agent. And because you're that authority, you're going to get invitations to speak. You're going to be getting paid, ideally, after a while for these. So now you're getting paid, right, by the platforms. You're getting paid because you're getting clients. You're getting paid from speaking opportunities. At these speaking opportunities, most likely is going to be in front of other real estate agents, right? Now you're building your referral network. So when people need a referral, they're going to come to you. Right. Also, you can then charge these agents for, most of them are going to have questions. They're going to want your help because you're the go-to expert, right? You can start charging for your expertise, right? If you're only thinking about making money with the core 4 in real estate, you are going to be struggling for a long time before you finally figure it out and get the business running smoothly. And if your business is already running smoothly, what could an extra $50,000 a year do for you and your family? Think about it. So I want to challenge you watching right now to start recording videos talking about the same stuff that you talk about in your scripts and roleplay sessions. Like that, each scripts and roleplay, if you're spending, again, I know hundreds of people that are every Monday through Friday religiously, 8:20 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, are on these scripts and roleplay calls, practicing their scripts with agents on a Zoom call. When they could be doing that same thing, recording it and letting other people in the world to see, because that same information, you're going to use it on real people anyways. Might as well record it, and then if someone stumbles across it and watching and gets value, you're going to then handle their objection, and that might have been the thing that was holding them back from actually taking action, and now they reach out to you, and now you have a client. So again, there's a ton of reasons why you should start recording, but don't let real estate brokers or team leaders or office managers, whoever, tell you that the only way to make money in real estate is from helping people buy, sell, invest, or rent. That is a lie. That's how they keep you broke. That's how they keep you relying on, Zillow leads or office leads or whatever. Right? If you can start creating content, that's going to help you, again, get paid by the platforms, get more clients on your own, right? Attract clients that you want instead of having to be on the hunt all the time. They're going to help you land opportunities that you might not be aware of, get paid to speak, get paid for your expertise, build your referral network, all by talking about the same exact stuff you're already practicing on. That's all from me. In next week's video, I got an absolute banger for you. I'm going to be talking about how to make an extra $50,000 in real estate. It's going to be kind of like almost like a part 2 to this video. You're not going to want to miss it. I promise you, I want to really be diving deep into like how you can make money as a real estate agent without having to sell another home. So I'll see you in the next video.